And on that note, welcome back to another Unpopular Opinion broadcast. I'm your host, Herman Gaines, and I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. Given the nature of the past few days we've been having, I felt impressed to really go ahead and talk about this huge news that just developed concerning our current president, Joe Biden dropping out of the current election and endorsing his vice president, Kamala Harris, to run in his stead. Listen, this is a very interesting time to even monitor the presidency for the United States of America, primarily due to the fact that the division, the hate, the strife is on full display, whether you support Donald Trump or support Joe Biden or whatever party you support politically speaking, the hate is on full display. We're talking about within the frame of a month, really within a frame of 2 weeks at the time of this recording, we have a situation where a former president was his life was he was the target of an assassination attempt, and prior to that, uh, for the world to see on live television, our current president Joe Biden clearly began to display some issues with his health, mentally speaking, at least. And that was very uncomfortable to watch. And I got to be honest with you, when I saw it initially, when I saw the initial clip, I was one that I was a skeptic, right? I know a lot of people, because I understand people deal with politics and they talk about the propaganda, rhetoric, and things of that nature that goes on. I did not know it was that bad concerning his health and his mental state. I did not know that. I thought maybe people are putting together clips from online, to kind of compilate certain things. You know how everybody be mess with the AI now. So I'm thinking maybe they're like putting bits and pieces together to make it seem like he's not putting together full coherent sentences. But yeah, we saw in real time our current sitting president have literally run-ons. He would start talking about one thing, and then within the same confine of addressing the question at hand, he would start talking about things that were non-related, and we were waiting for him to kind of bring it back, but he never did. And again, that was on display for the world to see. And of course, Trump, he called him out on that several times during their debate. But even at that point, that was the pivotal point where a lot of people began to ask, specifically within his own party, the Democratic Party, is this the man? Is this the candidate? Is this the one we need to put our stamp of approval on? Now, if I'm just going to be honest with you, my candid thoughts on this matter is, above all else, you need to really be concerned about your day-to-day task, your day-to-day activities, uh, developing your personal walk with the good Lord, and watching over your health, things of that nature. Because while these things are important, the election is important. Um, there's a lot of stuff that goes on within the White House that you and I aren't privy to. A lot of things that go on in within the government that we aren't privy to. And I say that because what folks got to understand, and I know I'm talking to people now who some are going to identify as Christians, and you're going to identify with different religious beliefs or religious views or what have you. But I want to focus on the Christians because every election year around this time, we like to get deep. We like to get philosophical when it comes to just this whole teaching on why it is. Well, really it ain't even a whole teaching. In most cases, people are just going to point out one or two points as to why they're going to support a particular candidate. And it's just the whole thing. People start having dreams, revelations, and here it is. Some of that stuff I don't think is wrong. I don't think it's wrong, and I don't think people aren't hearing. But what I'm beginning to see is that a lot of people, especially within the Christian circle, aren't they're so concerned about all of this news that's going on to the point to where the task that they need to be worried about in their daily lives are getting neglected because whether Trump is elected or this new presidential candidate is elected, your life, while it will be, it won't be affected as much by who's in office. Now, folks don't like to hear that. They think it's anti-American and all this other stuff. But let's just look at the facts here. People, yes, we understand that gas prices and things of that nature have been going up. And there have just been things that have happened within the Biden administration that makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable. But I mean, when Trump was in office, we went through a whole entire pandemic, and the country was shut down. It was uncomfortable. Now, I'm not going to put that on President Trump, but what I'm saying is that you need to get in a position in your life that it doesn't matter who's in office, you're still going to thrive. You're still going to be the best you. You're still going to be somebody who is going to come out on top and not the bottom. Does that mean that we shouldn't be concerned about other people and our legislators and all that? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But what I'm saying is you need to have a healthy balance because some of y'all, something ain't adding up. Something ain't adding up. You got all this revelation and dreams and all this stuff in the spirit about the election and who gonna be president and all this other stuff, but then you can't consult God or better your situation enough to get you some money. Come on, you can't consult God or better your situation enough to put you and your family in a position to win. But you got time to be giving prophecies and declarations and you worried about the conspiracy and all. Man, enough is enough. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. This we are witnessing in real time a theatrical performance in our White House, in the U.S. government. The convention, the RNC convention that recently passed, it was very theatrical. I'm gonna just be honest with you, and that may offend some people who are starch Republican, but it is. I'm gonna just tell you right now, it is so fake for people to get up there and in one breath say how they love this man, they're supporting this man, and again, I am empathetic towards the fact that he had an attempt taken on his life. Um, that is not a laughing matter. That is nothing to be joked about, and I sympathize with him on that point. Okay, everybody deserves to say what they want to say and continue to live. Like unless someone is doing physical harm to you or threatening to do physical harm to you, there's no reason why another person should be putting their hands or assaulting an individual with a weapon. There's just no reason for it. Now, with that being said, a lot of the people, including his current vice president running mate, all spoke out against him when he ran the first time, talking about how they couldn't put their stamp of approval on him and all of that. And I get it. Sometimes people do things for the betterment of the party. So they may say, hey, I may not like you as much, but if you're the man that the people are wanting, that I'm going to endorse you, and hopefully, you know, it'll show a unity within our party as well as get me some votes on the back end because I am saying that you are the guy. Because the people want you to be the guy, at least within my field. And so it's just a whole bunch of theatrics, though, especially when you get up there with a straight face, or with a face that's clearly being looked at as if you're reading off a teleprompter and all this other stuff, and just start saying all types of things. Now, this is my thing. Of course, you're going to have people that are going to support Trump just based off of the values, right? A lot of his points resonate with a bunch of Judeo Christian value evangelical believers. And that's fine. I have nothing against that. All right. I have nothing against that. And that's not really what I want to deal with on this topic. But I do want to make emphasis on the fact that, you got enough issues in your personal life right now to worry about, as opposed to trying to keep up with what's going on in the White House. What's going on right now, y'all? And yes, we need to vote. We need to have a posture of prayer, especially if you're somebody that comes from a religious background. Have a posture of prayer. But my thing is this: we are clearly witnessing a battle of ideologies take place in our country in real time. A battle of ideologies, because the ideologies that Trump is running on are really ideologies that, in a way, founded the country. Okay, it's what the country was built on. Um, the ideologies that the Democratic candidate will be running on, and I'm not going to be as quick to say Kamala, because I don't know if she's going to be the one that actually does run in President Biden's stead. But for the sake of this broadcast, I will just say the Democratic candidate, and then I'll give a scenario later in regards to how that's going to go if Kamala is the one that's going to be running against Donald Trump. But the ideologies of the Democratic Party are liberal and progressive in nature. And so within that liberal and progressiveness, there are aspects of uh, laws, legislations, people, and yeah, I'll just leave it there. People who are wanting to be in positions to influence America, to make it seem like it's more of a melting pot, for all people that embrace different ideologies. And I believe that is true to an extent. But, sometimes, especially within this current woke media age, you can't say anything or do anything that goes against the narrative, okay? That goes against the ideology. Once you do that, you're marked as a racist. You're marked as somebody who is doing hate speech. You're marked as somebody who needs to be silenced. That's why a lot of platforms, even the ones that I'm on right now, um, do not favorably look upon anybody that has conservative values, or really values that portray men in a traditional masculine um, frame. Okay. And that's just the truth. I mean, traditional masculinity is under attack. It really is. People do not like that. And so that's not what's being championed right now at all. If you're a man and you're trying to say, hey, I'm standing behind certain principles that have always been attached to uh, you know, manosphere topics, or men ideology, it's wrong, and people will fight you for it. Now, are there extremities within some of those ideologies? Absolutely. There are certain people that may be even looked at as being extreme, but I don't really find a whole lot extremely wrong with a man encouraging another man to be his best self, to work on his purpose, to, not be in a situation where you are, head over heels over just one woman. And if that woman leaves you, now your whole life's ruined. I believe it's healthy to preach, or to teach rather, a balance of, hey, you as the man, you need to be on your stuff, and you don't need to let nobody hold you back. But when that message becomes controversial, I feel like we got a problem. I feel like we got a problem. We got a real problem in this country that genuine faith, authentic faith, is the only answer for. It ain't faith to just go to the polls, man. It ain't faith to just sit there and listen and put your trust in what these politicians are talking about, because they got crooked people on every side of the aisle. Every side. Joe Biden, he said something prior to getting in office this time that made me extremely uncomfortable. And I'm saying this as a black man. He said something that made me extremely uncomfortable. Now, did it weigh in my decision to vote for him or not vote for him? I won't say, because honestly, it's my own opinion, and as well as my own personal business who I voted for, vice versa. But he told a radio personality and host, notable host by the name of Charlemagne the God. He goes by that name. His actual name escapes me at this point. But he told that man out of nowhere within their interview that if you don't vote for me, and he was talking to black people when he said it. He told Charlemagne, he said, listen, they need to know that if they don't vote for me, they ain't black. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So within this quote unquote progressive liberal party that our sitting president Joe Biden is with, there is no room for a person of color to have a differencing of opinion without their quote unquote black card being taken from them. To me, that is absolutely ridiculous. That is I don't and to be honest with you, I don't care if you was playing or not. There is no place for a man who we're saying is going to be the ruler of this so-called quote unquote free world to be talking like that regarding a person's color. Because and see, them be the same folk, right? The same folk that give people issues because they don't do certain things. If you're not talking hood, if you don't like certain type music, you don't dress certain type ways, and all this other, now your blackness is being interrogated. It's being questionable. You like dating white women or women that ain't just black women. Now you got a problem. See, I got to keep it real. I got to give you my unpopular thoughts concerning this thing, because I am so fed up and tired with people going with the narrative and the noise, and they can't get no real breakthrough in healing because they only concerned about what these folks saying on CNN and Fox. Enough is enough. Turn that mess off and get back to the real. Get back to focusing on what's going on in your life. Come on, man. You gotta finish school. You gotta get back in shape. You gotta get a job. You need a job, man. But you sitting up here trying to get prophetic insight on what's going on in the election, and who gonna be up in there. You need to be praying and believing that whoever gets it, you gonna thrive. Now I get it. We know it's important because of the fact that from a historical perspective, the next 4 years, depending on who's up in that office, can shape where America goes, as far as from an ideological standpoint and how that affects our kids and our kids' kids. Nevertheless, we still need to be in a position. See, this is the problem. We allow our kids to go to school. Now, when I say our, I'm speaking hypothetically there, because, or in parentheses in a way, because I don't have any children as of yet. But when we talk about the children of America, we're not parenting anymore, man. We'll mess around and send our kids to these schools, and we say, okay, well, you the teacher. Mind you, the teacher is one of the least paid jobs in America, right? We want this emphasis on it. We give them the authority to watch our kids and do all this other stuff throughout, you know, eight 40+ hours a week, really, and they aren't compensated nowhere near what they are doing, the quality of work, what they're doing. But see, on one hand, we'll sit there and want the kids in school, want these teachers to teach our children all of this stuff. We want them to teach them about sex education. We want them to teach our kids about just basic stuff, right? Math, sentences, how to do. There is nothing that us as parents really want to teach our kids outside of maybe a few ideological views, right? And so this is the problem that I have with the whole situation is when we begin to get to a situation where we are now, am I saying that schools should be able to teach whatever? No, I am vehemently against that. However, I believe we as parents need to take more of an initiative to not only teach our kids, but be able to put them in the right position to win. Especially some of us that's coming from a minority background. Because see, what we've been doing for the past several years, it hadn't really been working. Now, shout out to Dr. King. Shout out even to a degree to people like Malcolm X and them. During their lifetimes, there has been waves of progression. Progression with the state of our people in this country that we have all benefited from, including myself. But what I am talking about is the fact that we'll sit there and get so hyped up. I'm talking about hyped up over a presidential candidate when the actual laws in our country make it to where president ain't got no veto power. That this is not a theocratic rulership here. You got the House that the president has to deal with. The only time the president has that veto power is when it comes to political affairs, like not political affairs, excuse me, foreign affairs. So that's why a lot of people say, your president typically is going to start out being, worried about the affairs of the country, but when they realize they can't really get nothing passed, without, the House approving it or whatever, then they just kind of like, all right, well, man, I'm gonna worry about what I can do overseas because at least over there, I ain't got to answer to a lot of people. And so that's the thing about it. A lot of times when we are putting our hope in our prayers in these candidates, we're not really concerned about our local governments. We're not concerned about none of that. But yet we got so much to say when our quote unquote presidential candidate gets elected or doesn't get elected. It's such a heavy agenda at place. The devil working, etc. See, we got so much to say, but very little action to be done. And that's the problem, man. It's time to be about that action. All right. Now, of course, this is huge. This Joe Biden, President Joe Biden not running, that's huge news. But it was news that was speculated for the longest time. It was news that really, if we're just gonna be honest, the Democratic Party probably wanted to drop after his debate, his first debate with Trump, for this term, because you know they not only thinking about the country, they're not only thinking about that, they thinking about these other countries. They're thinking about international people from around the world are witnessing that. And when they look at your leader and see that your leader ain't strong, they gonna realize, hey man, this nation ain't strong either. So maybe there is room for pushback. And so in order to protect the ideologies that the Democratic Party has, they're saying, you know what? We need another candidate. We need somebody with strength, with comprehension. Nothing against Joe, but he just may not be that person right now. His health is failing, and it's evident. Now, this is my thing. Let's go with the scenario that I mentioned earlier. He put his stamp of approval of endorsement on Vice President Kamala Harris. Rightfully so. Now, this is what y'all need to understand now. With her being a woman, and not only a woman, but a black woman, a woman of color, this will be used. This will be used as uh, a point when her and Trump go at it. Now, I can already see it now. As aggressive as Trump is, he gets out there. He didn't spare Hillary. He didn't spare Hillary at all. All right. Um, Now, in respect to Hillary, he did kind of throw more jabs at Bill than her, but he really like he led into her. But with this right here, man, you talking about living at a time where this because you're gonna witness an elderly white man going against potentially a middle-aged black woman. And the moment he starts letting off like he does, the racist implications, the racist propaganda, all of that stuff is going to be amplified 10 times more because they're going to feel like, oh man, he's saying certain stuff, he doing certain stuff to a black woman. Now, is that me co-signing everything that Trump about to say or do? No. Is that me co-signing saying that I agree with how Trump is moving and how Kamala might do it? No, not at all. But what I'm saying is this. Y'all need to be concerned about the policy. And I ain't just talking about abortion. Be concerned about the policy because the propaganda can be said so loud to the point to where you ain't even worried about the other stuff, man. All you concerned about is how it looks. It's so funny to me, and I know it because it was true even in my own house. Now, I'm not to get too personal here, and not to even speak concerning the political views of my family and different ones in the house. I just got to be honest and say that this whole talk or narrative about Trump being this racist wasn't even a real thing until he started running. People tend to forget this man. He started out as a Democrat. He wanted to run as a Democrat. Couldn't really get over that way, and he went over to that Republican Party. Now, but this is the thing though. Shows like The Apprentice, very well known shows, were talked about in black households. Rap artists, well known hip hop artists, were endorsing Trump way before he ran for president. Now, somebody may say, well, we didn't find out until he started running. What did you find out? You found out that some people got evicted from their home because they didn't pay they bill? Like, no offense to them, but man, that could happen to me or you. Especially, you talking about in New York? New York City? Come on, man. like, let's bring together. And again, I'm not trying to defend this man or speak to his character, but what I'm really trying to hammer home throughout this whole major announcement is for you guys to just go on, be ready, be ready to, for one, hear the racist dogma as well as he's going against a woman. So there may be implications of, hey, he's attacking this woman. I can see that being a thing too. What we need to be focused on though is not only the policy, but who are these people working with? Who is Kamala? What is she currently doing? Who is she currently endorsing? Because I guarantee you, whoever that is, that's what she gonna be doing when she get in office. Now, see, this is what we got to get. This is what we got to get out our heads now. Cause see, we so focused again on propaganda, and we want to be so concerned about making quote unquote history. We don't want to do the proper due diligence to see, are you really gonna be in our best interest to do. Some of us say, well, we may not get another one up there, so we might as well, go ahead and elect for president. No, and you ain't just gonna get it off the strength of you being a woman or the strength of you being black. See, we gotta have backbone when it comes to this voting thing. As minorities, we can't just be giving away votes because somebody black. Because everybody that's black ain't always gonna be looking out for black folk. And that's just being honest. That's just being real. Some of you don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. I heard Steve Harvey make a joke one day. It was some years ago, back when President Barack Obama was in office, which again, I thought was a good thing from a historical perspective. Yeah, you better. I mean, come on, Jim Crow, all that stuff, slavery, and now you got a black man. Don't matter if he was from Ghana or his pops was from Ghana, and none of that. But a black man as the president, that was that was that was monumental at that time, you know. But the thing about it is, he said something that we thought that I think today was so funny. People of color started getting very personable and relaxed when Obama got in office. And what I mean by that is, they felt like because he was a person of color, that okay, now, him and his wife, that's not President Obama. That's that he what they used to call him. They say old Barack, old Barack, and Michelle became Shell. Yeah, girl, Shell up there in the White House. Just this personableness, right? That we claim that we've had with them. But when you talk to the average person of color and you say, hey man, what were certain things that Obama did? What were certain policies, certain things that happened during his time in office that really stood out to you? They couldn't tell you. They can't tell you. They can't tell you one thing. They just happy because we had a person of color in office, which is fine from the standpoint of I'm glad we did it. But by the same token, there were a lot of things that people had issues with once he left. Now, I don't think that should take away from the historical nature or even the personality of the man, because it's well known, documented, just like with Trump and these other people, that these people conspire within Congress to make sure that you know certain political candidates aren't going to get their agendas off. Barack was one of those guys that came in thinking he was going to be able to be a mediator and all that other stuff, or a man to kind of go between the aisles and bring people together. But they vehemently struck it down. Them Republicans said, no matter what comes on our day, we striking it down. And that's what they did. And somebody say, "Oh, you just making up stuff." No, like I'm telling you stuff that they've went on record and said. Certain Republicans at that time, they got documentaries out about it. I'm talking about they talked about how on the night of the inauguration, on the day of the inauguration, they meeting out there at spots in Washington D.C. contemplating and trying to figure out what it is they gonna do, how it is they gonna stop this man from really getting his agenda across. Because see, really they weren't necessarily just concerned about him; they was concerned about the power structure, because around that time, the Democratic Party they had some flow, they had some juice, and it was going to be kind of hard for Republicans to regain momentum if the Democrats got their agenda off, which they could have during that time due to them having certain numbers within certain parts of our government. Nevertheless, what people got to understand is You need to be informed. Don't be just going off of. Don't even just listen to one media outlet. Okay. No, don't just listen to Roland Martin. Don't just listen. Listen to outsiders. Listen to people who aren't even in the country. And somebody say, "Oh, why should I do that? Why do blah, 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 blah. They ain't here. They don't know what's going on." But see, this is the thing. Within journalism, there's a level of biasness, right? That a person on the outside ain't gonna have, especially if they're trying to keep the integrity of the journalism intact. Cause see, when I can come to my own decisions about something. I can come to my own thoughts about something, but I need to be provided the facts first to be able to have the thought, a form of thought. You just sitting here barking at me, telling me how this man a racist because of this or that, and not really providing real receipts, overlooking the fact that he actually did date a black woman at one point in his life and things of that nature. You want to overlook all that, but not provide legitimate receipts. It's like, meanwhile, the person you say ain't a racist, he talking about if I don't vote for him, I ain't black. Meaning I'm not down. My whole blackness is on the line if I don't vote for you. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy, and it's not really worth your time. You got a lot of other places you could be putting your effort at right now than being worried about what's going on in that White House, because what's going on in that White House is a mess. Now that's not to say that you don't do your thing come November. You get out there to them polls, you vote, you do what you got to do. I'm telling you to do it after you've made an informed decision about the matter. Now, if you don't know how to do that, that's where you start. You say, man, you know what? Go to the library, or many of you you're listening to me on your phones or what have you. Hey, do the proper research on Google, just basic research about the parties and their values and what they believe, etc. Don't just be going off of this rhetoric, man. Because see, you got, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't necessarily believe he did it, because it's weird, man, it's beyond weird. If he did do it, it's beyond weird. But to plot your whole quote unquote assassination attempt just to garner sympathy, to make it seem like you were shot at and you wasn't. If he really did that, that is crazy. I'm not chancing my life, especially when I get hit in the ear. I'm not I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give you a chance to quote unquote stage this event by glazing my ear. Like, nah, bro. Like, from a hundred feet away too. Yeah, nah. I'm just not gonna do it. Now, some people may say, "Well, it's highly unlikely." Well, listen, um, we just don't know. We don't know, y'all. I don't believe he would do that. To be honest with you, I don't know too many men that would. But by the same token, let's worry about what we can control. All right, let's worry about what we as the people can do in our day-to-day lives to make ourselves and our families better. It's going to take us really actually coming back to the dinner table, teaching our kids once again, not relying on the public schools and even the private schools to do our jobs, you know, instilling that importance of legacy and land, legacy and all of that to be drawn down. You got to get out this mindset of, well, it was hard for me. My kids just need to learn how hard it is, so I'm not gonna leave them nothing. Like, nah, get out of all of that and teach your kids responsibility. Teach them early, not just in word, but through action. Have them get a job. They say they want something to get. Hey, tell them, hey man, you need to go up the street, get a job. Teach them the importance of a dollar, and then leave them the stuff that you've worked hard for, as opposed to saying, "Oh no, yeah, no, it was so hard for me." Okay, man, Okay, lady, that doesn't help your family. It doesn't, because you never taught them how to do it. Yeah, they saw you, but you didn't practically teach them, and that's the problem. It's time to get practical. And I don't want to go really hard against that spiritual element, because I know we love that. We love to pray and stuff, which is fine. I'm for it, but we got to get a little bit more practical, a little bit more practicality to balance this thing out. I guarantee you, even with what President Biden said about, if y'all ain't voting for me, you ain't black. It's like, if there was a huge outcry about that, even within his own party, it's like, man, why would you say that? Because even though you may be quote unquote joking, and you might be saying it tongue in cheek, you're still running for president. And here it is, black the black voters, which are your base in most cases, are already on edge when it comes to you. They on edge when it comes to the party. They don't feel like the party really looking out. And now you just spit in their face, the people that's already on the fence about you. It's not a good move, not a good strategy. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Those are just my candid thoughts on the topic, man. If you don't like it, I understand. To each his own. Everybody's entitled to have their own opinion. But know this, these are just thoughts. Overall, I am hoping and praying even the best for President Joe Biden. I'm praying for former President Donald Trump, and all of those who are in authority, that they would be in good health and would lead with the wisdom that is provided to them from on high. With that being said, until next time, keep your heads up, continue to chase, continue to pursue greatness, and I'll get back up with you soon. Bye bye.